Hey guys, just going to go through my quad hamstring work for the week. Now I put this in once a week. I've done this for quite a long time. I used to do it with hanging and crawling and then do quad and then hamstring and do that like a circuit. I found that pretty useful to get my different hang swing variations and different crawl variations in the week. Now I'm just putting it in just by itself, which is good too, so I can focus a bit more. It's quite popular now, the Nordic curls and the reverse Nordics are very popular, which is good because they're great for knees, they're great for hips, they're great for the lower back, and they're just great for athletic performance. So there's some simple ways to get started with it that I use. So I normally just get people just kneeling on the ground, really basic, and just hip hinging, just to get that control through the hip. Get used to leaning forward, condition the lower back for it. So it's really a starting phase. And then they just do the reverse Nordic, just kneeling. They don't even have to go too far. What I do like is what people are doing now, which is really focusing on getting good quad flexibility before they go into Nordics, and it's going to work for that hamstring curl as well. So doing the variations of whether you're here, down, just getting that hip flexor end, dropping the hip in, big breath in, breathe out, sinking that hip right down, getting a minute each side on that, and really focusing on opening up the hip flexor, and then just using a wall for the reverse of that. So when you've got the knee right in, and you can get the heel to the butt with the wall there, the head on the wall, the shoulders on the wall, and get a full minute like that. Very strong for a lot of people, even for me, quite flexible, but holding that for a full minute, people think it's just stretching, but you're really conditioning the tissues because there's a lot of elastic energy there that you've got to fight against. So you've got to condition yourself to fight it and open it up and get those tissues to get stronger in that end range position. So they're really good, and also obviously just getting a good hip hinge, so hinging through the hip, keeping that lower back stable. And they're quite good just as a standing variation. I used to use those loaded with just a sissy style squat. For people at the beginning, it's just pushing the knees forward like that, and then going into more of that sissy position where the front of the hips stay open as the knees go down and drive up. So it's quite strong. They're quite good. You could obviously use the band with those, holding on just for a bit of assistance or something that you can hold on to. Makes it a lot easier. Then going into starting off with the hamstring curls, using something that you've got a base for. So this is quite cool. You need something that's got a decent amount of secure position, so it's not going to move when you come forward. So this works well, just having this bar with the pads on it on the bottom of the rack, feet under the couch. If you've got a barbell, just putting that in position where it's locked in position and putting your feet under works well as well, the bottom of the rack. But you've just got to find something that's going to secure you. So when you're starting out, just getting those kneeling hip hinges, but now you can just come forward a little bit more. It does make it exponentially harder though. Just bring, as soon as those knees start to come, or the hips start to come forward of the knees, it gets a lot harder. A good way to progress that, just using a band, just lining that up. I find this is quite effective. Good for the anterior core as well. Just hinging in the knee, but trying to keep the hips open. And you might just use partial range. Maybe you just don't want to go too hard with these when you're starting off. You might come down, and then to come back up, stick the butt out, and then come up. So you're getting that eccentric. Butt goes back, and you come up. And then obviously, once you got that down, you can go into just keeping it open, staying strong. And that works quite hard. Then when you want to progress that, obviously losing band or using less band help. And then you're going into the body weight eccentrics. So these, just keeping the glutes on, keeping that core tight, and you're just gonna lower fingertips, lower, push. So trying to keep the hips open. They'll want to do this as you're going down, which is understandable because it's a very hard movement. So you just want to give it time to condition. And they're quite strong, so usually I'm using 3 to 5 reps with these. I'm not trying to go crazy with reps. On the easier versions, you could definitely go high reps, get blood flow, just get your body used to it. And just slowing that eccentric down is great to get that time under tension to condition it. But yeah, that's a work in progress for me to get back to being able to do that full Nordic with the hips open. Now doing the reverse ones, just kneeling here. The standing ones are great, but when you're coming back here, you can use that band as well, which is great for assistance. So that head can come back. So here, lower down and just pull enough to help me back up. Again, that flexibility is really going to be important when you're hitting that end range. So you want to work on that first. So I can go into these and then coming down, it's a partial range. You can also kind of crunch to get up to make it a little bit easier, or you can arch to get a bit further down, which either way, whether you're going to go into flexion or extension, it's making that lever a little bit shorter, making it a little bit easier. So the arch one coming down. And crunching up. So quite heavy, but again, you don't need to rush. You're just looking for quality gains over time, gradually conditioning the hamstrings and the quads, the tendons through there, so they work in the way that you want them to, which is just to cross over to injury prevention, make your body feel good. So I made this video for YouTube to share it with everyone. This is also in my subscription program, so anyone that's using it there, send your videos in and get me to check your form, and can keep improving and work on what your next progression is. And that's for everyone, that's the hardest thing with a lot of these heavy movements, is figuring out how to gradually make progressions, because oftentimes the full versions is just so hard, and then some of the easier versions there's a bit of a gap there, so you have to be quite strict with these type of things with your form, filming them from the side so you can see what angles you're working with, looking at that time under tension, your sets, your rests, your loading, to gradually make improvements. I put these in, I'm just putting them in once a week on a leg day, but it's not I only do lunges, squats and deadlifts 1 day a week. So I do another leg day which has, I've got a treadmill now, which is great, like on those curved ones, so I do sprints on that, then I do some sled pulls and sled pushes on it as well for my legs. Then I do this quad hamstring work, then I'm going to do some hip flexor hamstring work, and then some calf and tib work as my second leg day, whereas the other leg day is just heavier split squats, straight leg deadlifts and squats, and lateral squats, which I like because they really strengthen the adductors. And then my third kind of leg day I do with my gymnastic strength work, which is just doing side splits, front splits and pancakes. So just hitting the legs in those three kind of different ways. One's a kind of an athletic day, one's more just like a strength training day, and the other one's like a heavy leg mobility day. I also do another day which is just some stairs, and that's quite a quick session. That's backwards walk up, that's 120 stairs, backwards walk up. Then I just do 4 sprints. I used to do 10 sets, but now just to decrease the volume in my whole week, I'm doing that with just 4 sets. and they're pretty sharp, pretty fast. It's a pretty quick session. I do a bit of a handstand warm-up, which is fun, and I'm doing that most days. And then I've got 2 other upper body strength days, and then 1 gymnastics upper body strength day, and then 1 kind of just like fill the gaps day if I just do a handstand split warm-up, do my handstands. So that's kind of my full week of training. So I'm doing something every day, but it goes from harder to easier, and if I feel like a rest day, I just take it. If I skip one of those workouts one week, it's really no drama, because some of them kind of double up. Usually the ones I always keep is going to be that heavy leg day, and one of the upper body days I might take out if I need a bit more rest and I feel like I need it. But just got to work with the body, keep it simple. Enjoy the day. It's beautiful here in Sydney today. It's just awesome. So get into your training, keep enjoying it. Let me know if you've got any questions, and I'll see you soon.